He tried it with a hydromatic, it didn't work. Pieces were all over the ground.
Or something, and he'd come out here to the drag strip one night, and everybody's watching. He'd been bragging on making this, and he had that in neutral and revved it up and put it. There was Ford pieces all over that drag strip.
Well, the old Ford transmission just had low and drive. So if you put it in low, run it as fast as it'd go, put it in drive, it would get second, and then you could pull it back into low and it would stay in second.
I don't know.
But somebody tried that on some other kind of transmission and it didn't work out too good for them. It went back into low and scattered either the motor or the
second and all that was outside the transmission.
Didn't. Two older sisters that was married to the guy that drove the car, and Brian Perrineau, I thought he might be here today. He owned it. I actually saw the car at one of these cackle fests. He still got it. Now, Spring Nationals, where was that? At Bristol or what?
Dallas.
Oh, that was when we, I was about 71.
Something like
That was the good old days.
that. Yeah, I guess it was.
Hey, we didn't spend that much money. I can remember winning stock eliminator at Porter and getting a trophy and a $50 gift certificate. That was it.
Yeah, you know,
That was when you could drive a car out there.
it was a big deal. You go and win your class.
Yeah, because a lot of people do that. They'll buy Edelbrock. I think they're okay, but then I imagine there's some outfits that make adapters and all that.
Always wanted a Hemi.
Yeah.
Came with it. My wife had stopped me out at Corpus at the races one day. The guy was selling a 63.
Well, we make
I had that battery out.
72.
72.
Yes, 77.
Oh, yeah. Good to see you.
Oh, yeah. And when we went comp, we had to go to my dad's heart, my mother's that's a big if you want to know how many you can get the fast back in.
So, y'all Edcock neighbors from down the road.
Yes, we
Y'all
are.
don't know how to stop in at 60.
Then I'll go home and look
Help
in the
yourself,
mirror.
go through.
So, this patch on this jacket, my mother took it off and put it in the envelope, and I run across it in the drawer the other day. And I still got it, yeah. My dad wore the jacket out because
He was singing. Well, he does something called back phrase. Way back. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, you told me a while ago. 3-star. I'll find us something to drink. They'll match up on black. Have anything to do with that?
we got caught up in the middle of it.
Why get home?
Right in front. That's what the other one was.
We said our first 2 grand. I was like, geez. That's why we're split. Got one. We got a heavy. Yeah, they were like.
This thing came from the guy Kansas back in the 60s.
Well, this is
big time racer. He saw that thing on Mikey. New one.
That's the same one that you got.
Yeah, that's about half.
Part is same kind of deal, just everything.
Push forward to be a neutral. It probably is.
Smoking. So somebody looked at the top of my Chevrolet Company car and rode
You'll never know how to look like that.
I want to go tell everybody to come home.
swing it right there.
We're going to reconfigure the room now. We're going to have Junior Berger and Billy Plemons and Kupp up on stage talking about Six Flags Dragway. The very first 60-something years ago, 65 years ago. So I'm going to need a little bit of help reconfiguring the room to put some tables away and get the chairs out. And then we'll be ready to start that in probably about 15 or 20 minutes.
Seems to be a lot more of that.
Everybody have a good time? Yes, sir. Thank you, John. So, we did this last year and it was a lot of fun. We did it this year. We'll probably keep trying to do it as long as we all keep coming. So, next year it'll still be on unless something happens to me. So, there won't be any invitations going out next year. It's just, if you want to be here, be here. I wanted to capture this moment though, because these guys, they wrote the book on Six Flags Dragway. So all the way from the very, very beginning, and we're going to start with Junior Berger because he was, as far as I know, the first. And they're going to all tell stories, and we're going to take questions, you know, but we're videotaping it. We're going to try to capture all the good stories from Six Flags Dragway. So try to keep the noise down, no cross-talking please, because we're trying to capture all this. We want everybody to be able to hear it. So I'm going to start it off by asking Junior to tell his story, starting with day one.
Okay, so a bunch of us used to get together in town on Thursday nights to drink beer. And then somebody said, they got this hot rod club. And their building's still there on Rio Grande Street. We'd meet there and, you know, talk a little bit. And they said, well, we're working on getting the dragster. We got a lawyer involved. And so Robert Searden, who's a lawyer in Victoria, got permission from the General Services Administration to us to use it. Well, everybody had been going out there and hand flagging and you know, running what we called them back then nationals. And so it kind of evolved, and we raised a little money selling, I don't know, cakes and cups or whatever. And we bought us a little old bread truck. And Frankie Staff and Jack Dowdy and myself were kind of the ringleaders of the bunch. Frankie and I would talk, and then if we presented something at the club, because we never kept no records or books or anything, we'd pretty well have it hashed out what we wanted to do before the meeting, you know, just like a controlled corporation. Anyway, so we roll on there and we get the permission, and we're running on that old runway where Safety Steel's at now. And that was working out pretty good, and Frankie and I get to talking, and I said, we can't charge $1 a head and not have any time slips, so we need to buy a set of clocks. Well, the club had done already spent all the money they had made, you know, and so Frankie and I went down to the Bank and Trust, and he had a cousin that was a banker down there, and we got $3,000 from him to buy a set of clocks, a used set out of California. And so now we got us a legit deal, right?
Now, would that be the set of clocks in this picture?
One of them, one set, original set.
Yeah, there's
two separate sets.
If you want to see it later on,
together.
that's there. And don't forget to tell us. Huh? Yeah, don't forget to tell the story about how you had to calculate that.
It had a spreadsheet on it that you got the time between 120 feet before the finish line and 120 feet after the finish line. And then you had a chart that broke out the miles per hour. and you had to do that on every run. But we only had one lane, so, you know, but then we had two people down on the other end flagging who won. We, you know, it was all manual, you know. It just we were just a bunch of kids out there, you know, trying to drink beer and have a good time. So anyway, we got the clocks.
What year?
61. Yeah, 61, okay. So we're out there on that runway in 61. 62, we're still out there on the runway. But in 62, I'm gonna lose myself here. Let's just get back to what we did in 61. We'd roll out, Jack Dowdy put us a little PA system together, and when we got the clocks, we went down to the supply store and bought 1,500 feet of extension cord, 500-foot rolls, and rolled it out on that concrete. And I'll be damned if there wasn't somebody that would always go to the right and run over that extension cord, and we'd have to go out there and patch it up. But we did that for a year, and we made money in the spring and fall, but we lost money competing with the free beach in the summertime, you know, just tough. So in 62, General Services Administration puts that land up for sale. And so, yeah, we're seeing the end, you know. We ain't gonna have no free runway anymore. But Albert Alkeck bought it, and Kupp and I were talking about this a while ago, and we think Tweety Breeden went over there and got us a lease from Mr. Alkeck, because he worked for Mr. Dischinger. And so we got us a lease, and we had enough money, we had clocks, so we started building us a timing tower. And Walter Gillick Sr., the beer distributor's son's dad, and I put that timing tower together out there. And I brought a tractor from home, and we buried brand new extension cord to the lights at the end. And so we were in business, and well, we didn't, you know, if you look at that picture, it shows a ladder up there. We didn't want a lot of people coming up there, so we just let it hard to get up there too. But we operated in 63, pretty successful, and then I got drafted into the service, and that was the end of it. But, you know, I remember us booking Eddie Hill, and it was the first paid show we ever booked in. And Mr. Gladden paid him some money to come down the day before, the twin Pontiac dragster. Mr. Gladden always told me, he said, that's the most people I've ever had on my showroom in my lifetime. You know, he was happy he spent the money. You know, Eddie Hill was a character though. Then we had Langley and Vance Hunt and all of them names, you know. And they got $1,000 to make 3 runs, you know. Now what does it cost? They can't feed the crew for $1,000. Yeah, it's gotten so out of hand. So yeah, I left and went to the service and left it all behind me. And club operated. We never kept no records or anything. Shit, one hand in one pocket and one hand in the other pocket. But we survived. I mean, it got it started. I mean, it was a good gig. Enjoyed it. Learned a lot.
Who took over after you went to the service?
I don't know. I was in the service. Kupp somewhere got started somewhere in there, didn't you? What year?
What about Billy?
And I joined the club in 62.
Okay, so you were.
About the time I came.
Yeah, so you were there when I left. Okay, I kind of remember that now that you mentioned that. Yeah, it. You know, and when I came back, I had other aspirations and ideas and things I wanted to do. So yeah, all worked out good.
Like starting lines auto parts.
Yeah, and Victoria Speed Equipment in my house. Yeah. And I got some decals. Everybody's welcome. Some I had some little decals made.
Y'all race every week or?
Every other week.
Every other week?
We'd race, and in 63 we'd race, we tried every weekend, and that's a lot of work. And there wasn't enough crowd in Victoria to support it every week. So we would alternate with Houston. And I had a good little gig for the gays up there. I'd go up there and announce for them, run the event for them. And, you know, he was good to me. He gave me $100 for a Sunday's day's worth of work back in '63. I mean, that was big money back then, you know.
Where was their tracking?
Huh?
Where was their tracking?
It was on the Gulf Freeway. There's a big shopping center there, about 2 miles north of the Alvin Road when you're going north on the right-hand side. Yeah, some of you guys have raced at it, so yeah. So yeah, Mr. Gay was quite a character. I got to go to the '63 Nationals with him and his family. James I got it right, James Osteen? Osteen, yeah. He drove us straight up there. I mean, we didn't stop. He had some little white pills that kept him awake, and we drove straight on through. Yeah. Can I drive, James? Oh no, can't trust you with the car. Okay. Well, next thing you'd know, he'd grab one of them little pills and pop it in his mouth, and we'd be gone for another couple of hours. Okay, next up.
Billy.
I can't think of much Junior hadn't already said. One thing, to get the drag strip, we had to be, back then, NHRA had what they called a charter club. And we had to fill out a bunch of paperwork and as a club, be a club before we could ever get the sanction from them to let us have, because we got our insurance with them. That's why you needed them. You couldn't buy insurance just on a drag race. And that was signed in '61. So that's about where we got
when we started. Yeah. Yeah, but you know, everybody took care of something different. I mean,
Well, Frankie was the tech man.
well, you know, I sent out the flyers and booked in the deals, and you know, Jack Dowdy kept the timing equipment running. He was a whiz at that.
He was a whiz at the electronics back then. That's what he enjoyed.
Well, later on you had Paczynski. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he came
His
out
name
there
was.
too. Yeah, after Jack quit.
So, and I couldn't find it when I got home at lunchtime, but in this picture right here, that little patch, my mother saved it, and I've got it on a cap now. So yeah, this picture right here was the first trophies that we gave away. $500 worth. Buy one and get one free from Goldberg's out of Chicago.
I got some in that case right there, I think, years ago.
Probably so.
Yeah.
Well, that newsletter right there, I had never seen that before. And I'm not sure how you ended up with it.
Well, I found it out at your place when you were out at Allo Field.
So everybody needs to look at this. I've never seen it before. This is his newsletter that he sent out in 1963 to me when I was in high school in Portland, to my house in Portland. And of course, I started trying to drag race when I was like 15 or 16. I didn't even have a driver's license. But this is the newsletter that he sent out of the upcoming races. And this must have been
Eddie Hill was a feature
this
program.
must have been some of Frankie's stuff. I love this. This is some rules and stuff. It said, raising of the hood on stalkers in the back to let hot air escape is most illegal and will be treated as such. And, oh my goodness, this thing is great. It said, we use dual lane timers to speed the running of the time trials, plus we have special dragster starting area. And it was pretty elementary back then, but there it is right there.
So I want to tell a little story about John. So when we first racing out there on Friday and Saturday night, I always used to ride with a guy named Bubba Shields, and he had a 57 two-door hardtop. Billy, you probably remember it. And so these guys from Port Lavaca said, can we ride with you? And so two of them got in the back seat, and this little scrawny kid got in the front seat. And you know, I didn't know who it was. One night, John and I we were coming from supper club, and he was telling the story about his first ride at the drag strip, and it all came back to me then. Yeah, Johnny and I had our first.
Well, I can tell you, that was the day that I put that cocaine into the vein. That was the day. I'll never forget it.
I remember that Studebaker that you brought up.
I mean, it was like, you just stick it in, it was like, okay. And it, you know, you can't, it's an addiction. You can't, it's really hard to get over it, you know.
Well, just
As you can see.
You've done well with it, John.
Bubba was the only one that had power guys.
Yeah, he had a power
always
guy.
had power guys. You know
Yeah.
that?
Riccatelli's car, what was it? It was four. It would have been a 3-speed because there wasn't any 4-speed cars in town. Yeah. Yeah. Billy and I are from about the same area, Billy Pope here. And
You know, that's somebody I should have invited, and I'll catch him for next year, is Riccatelli.
is he still around?
No,
He's
he
gone.
passed away.
Yeah.
You sure?
Money?
Oh, it's a different one.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
Bonnie that
I
What's the
thought
one
he'd
that goes
passed
in
away
Ramses?
too, Billy.
Huh?
I thought he'd passed
His
away.
name's Riccatelli. Isn't it? No. Okay. You don't, okay, I'm getting mixed up with somebody else. So then, but the drag strip was still operated while you were gone.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
It just got-
And then
Never slowed down.
and then you took over in what year?
That's a long story.
Go ahead. We're listening.
I just working there, joined the club, the car dealer on the side. Some good publicity, so I joined the club. Later on, after Berger was gone, Frankie's dad, I guess he was using it pretty well.
Yeah,
I was
there.
But everybody was working. There's 22 people that worked for free. But actually, when I bought it out, well, to get a free meal at night down at Alamance at Christmas party.
I didn't even get that at first. That Alamance came later.
But Frankie was the only one that got paid. He got paid $25. 22 people worked for free.
Yeah. We all worked.
Well, we enjoyed it. I mean, Johnny talked about getting his cocaine fix and going for the first ride. Well, I like drag racing too, but I just didn't have the money to do it. So I got involved with the dragster. And this was, well, I guess my sophomore year in high school. And I stayed with it as long as I could. It took the place of having a race car because I could not afford something like that. And I was the type of person that if I didn't have the best equipment, I didn't want to race. If you didn't have a chance at winning, I wasn't interested in it. So I knew I didn't have a chance. So that's why. And it was really a lot of camaraderie. And by golly, I'll tell you, Frank and staff and them, they taught me how to drink.
Yeah, it was more of a drinking club at first.
It was.
Yeah.
There were some benefits to,
Yeah.
to being out there, especially when you were underage.
But Frankie worked for a beer distributor.
Yeah.
Well, his father-in-law was a beer distributor.
Was that Falstaff or what was it?
Schlitz.
That's right.
Elder Distributing.
That's right.
The oldest person.
Del
Yeah.
Mar.
He had several brands.
Yeah.
He had several brands before he took over Schlitz.
What? The other day, Kupp, I talked to Julie, and I asked her if you ever paid Frankie. He kept it under his shirt that she thought he never got paid.
I can't tell you what happened between them two.
Yeah, well, anyway, Greg contacted his mother, and she had her call me and visited a little bit over the phone. So, yeah, it was a good visit, old times.
I wasn't too interested in what's going on with the racetrack. So Frankie kind of got to me and said, "Yeah, come on, get in there, get in there." So finally did.
Yeah, that's far into the 70s. When did Ronnie Venus?
I'm sorry?
Ronnie Venus had the drag strip for.
So that was after, we haven't got to that point yet.
Oh, okay.
We're working it through the time, so.
Oh, okay.
So what year are you talking about right now?
Yeah,
Late 60s?
62, 63. Yeah, you said you
No,
left in
after he
62.
went away.
Probably 63.
Okay, well then carry on.
Well, from then, and then I guess
Well, no,
64 is when we got the NHRA regional, and that really helped
But
us.
then Kupp, you operated it until I got it, and I got it, what, 72?
a little background. Everybody worked for free, and I was one of the crew members. But they worked because they wanted to go to the national Indy. That's what everybody worked for. And in '64, they made enough money we could go to Indy. When they had the sanction meet, the points meet, we made enough money that everybody could go to Indy. The next month, got a letter from the state, we wouldn't pay the admission tax. Well, I didn't know, they started, I just followed them doing the same
We didn't
thing.
know. We understood being a nonprofit.
We
a
were.
registered nonprofit.
We weren't
always had-
charitable.
We were, yeah. But anyhow, yeah.
So this old timer come in at our meeting one night, and he wasn't trying to hurt us. He was a nice old man. And I said, well, we had rainouts and stuff like that. We had 6, 7 scheduled races. And he said, well, just show me something. So I showed about 3 rainouts every year, low attendance, and sent him a check. But that took all the money. Nobody got to go to Indy. So later on that year, I got a job as insurance adjuster. I was in New York training. Frankie called me. He said, the guys are all disgusted. They want to sell it. You want to buy it? Not when I'm out here and everything's back in Victoria. So I said, we'll talk about it next year. Well, they did run the following year with the 65. We made a little money. There wasn't any real money in it.
Made money in the spring and lost it in the summer.
Yeah, summertime.
Crowds would go
compete
down.
with the
and
beach.
You just
you know?
didn't have any.
Anyway, the following year, in '65, they decided they wanted to sell it. They wanted $1,500 for everything. Well, I didn't have $1,500, so I went to the banker, and he said he'd loan me $1,500, so I went back to them. I said, if you take 7.5 now, I'll pay you 7.5 out of profits. And they did. So I was scared to death. This is November, winter time, paying that rent every month. So I decided to run a race on January the 2nd, which was a Sunday. Cold, it was freezing. But you schedule it 2 months ahead of time. You start planning, send a newsletter out. But out there at 7:30, out there in bonfires on the runway, people lined up racing, ready to race on Sunday the 2nd of January. And that set me up enough to where I had money to top race for the rest of the year. It was idle on that Sunday cold. Well, out there, there ain't gonna be any spectators. Oh my God. Lots of spectators. What else?
What about, I don't know, what about 68, 69, 70?
One of y'all needs to tell the story of when Dale Ham came down, and I guess it was the first point money that y'all had where he was involved. And he talked to me at Indy one year, and he said, he wanted to know why I worked out there. He asked me, were you there for the big cow incident? And I
The
said,
big what?
No.
Oh.
So he told me the story. One of y'all needs to talk about one of the, this is the first point when he came down, what happened with the cows and that.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
About the cows and the car.
the way I remember it, Sammy Rushoff leased the land for cattle. And down on that taxiway, the original track that we ran on in front of the hangars, I guess for some reason when they put those runways in and did all the tar cracks, all the tar they had left over, they must have dumped it right on the end of that runway. And it was hot, hot, hot that day. And Sammy came and got us. A bunch of his calves had gotten into that tar and laid down in it. And all of us went over there and tried to dig those calves out of that tar. You'd almost have to cut the hair on them and try to get them up. And of course, they didn't have any life left in them, hardly. They'd been laying in that heat. And I'm sure that's what Dale was talking about. That's the time I remember us having to go down there, wade around in that tar.
Punishment day.
Yeah. And then I think he brought in sand or something and put on top of that stuff after that to try to keep that from happening. And we worked with Sammy because he had the calves and he'd make sure he'd get them all. We'd remind him when we were going to race and he'd try to get them all on the other side of the pasture for the race. I forgot about that tar deal until you brought it up.
There was a lot of unique things that happened.
A lot of crazy things happened out there.
You know, that concrete out there doesn't have but one piece of steel in it. All around the edges, the outer border has one piece of steel in it. The rest is solid concrete, poured with no steel in it.
It's 6 foot thick too.
No, it was about 4 inches, 6 inches.
But it must have been
8 inches thick.
It's good concrete because I remember what Sierra, is that concrete company came out and we had them come bust those holes. So when we decided to have night drags and we put those poles up and we had them come bust holes in, the guy said that was the toughest concrete they'd ever busted holes in.
You told me the other day, I didn't know how long you had been involved with Field. All the way back to.
Oh, I worked out there in 1945.
Yeah, tell me, let's hear
I
that
drag
story.
races.
I know, but it's still a good story.
Well, I worked in the bowling alley, Officer's bowling alley. I was 13, my brother was 12, and one of the gentry boys was 12. Working for the government, no child labor law. I don't remember what we made. Working the day the war ended, Devastator Boy or Navy Boy, God, I can't even talk. Airmen, they were plumb crazy. Dancing, jumping around, kicking football over the barrack, back and forth. Wild bunch. That was in 45, and then I was with the Marine Corps Reserve out there from 54 to 58. Then set up my daughter out there in a mobile home, 73.
What year did they close the air base? 46 or
46 or 40. I know when we moved to Victoria, I think in 51, all those barracks, all the buildings except for the hangars had already been moved. So somewhere between then and 51, they hauled all the buildings
The
off.
county had an airport out there before they moved it to Foster Field.
Well, I'll tell
Airway
you.
Texan or something like that they flew out of their tail dragger, old DC-3s, yeah.
Trans Texas Airways.
Translate. There you go, Bill.
Like I said, they must have cleared that place out right after they closed it. They must have sold all those buildings.
Yeah, General Services Administration sold all those buildings. They hauled them across the Guadalupe River on a cable.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they did.
And then you operated 68, 70,
60.
and then I think I bought it in 72, right?
I run it to, like I,
It was in the
Billy
70s.
and Tony and Frankie sold 6% of the corporation. I remember it was in the 70s.
It had to be 70 or 70, 71.
I think I got it
Not past
72 or 3.
I sold the equipment to Carl Bell first in 1971.
Okay.
We run as a corporation in 1970.
What equipment?
Huh?
What equipment? The clocks?
Clocks.
Yeah.
Well, what did I do for clocks that I don't even remember?
Where's Carl?
I sold Carl the equipment, leased him the track for 2 years with an option to buy. When the 2 years up, he kind of said he didn't want to buy it, but Johnny Clegg wanted to buy it. I just shook my head. Anyway, they're going to pay a lawyer for me to sell to Carl, and they're going to pay a lawyer to sell to Carl to sell to Johnny. We were all knew each other. Well, how can you say we're friends? And I took the cross. If you don't mind, I just sell it straight to Johnny, the same price, don't make it to him to me. So that's what we did. Carl sold him the equipment, I sold him the land.
Okay.
And that equipment, we've got a heck of a deal on. That's when Austin closed up.
Well, I can tell you that, and we'll tell the Austin story too. That I want to tell this before I forget that just so you'll know, if any of y'all have any, if you ever wondered about owning a drag strip, there's 2 times you make money with a drag strip. I mean, there's 2 happy times, okay? The day you buy it and the day you sell it. And everything in between is nothing but work. So, I mean, them guys never made any money, none of them. And I never made it. The only money I ever made when I had it, which I had it for about, what, 4 or 5 years maybe, I guess.
Well, you sold it in 75 and bought it in 72.
Yeah, so Judy was running the concession stand, making hot dogs and drinks. We made a little money on the concession stand, and that was it. The drag strip, the entry fees, the spectators, all that money went right out the door between buying the insurance and advertising and all that stuff. There were
Trophies
trophies.
and the insurance.
There was never any money left over. Now, I'll tell you another good story about it. So I operated it, and in that interim, I was getting tired of it, and Ronnie wanted to do it, Ronnie Bennis. So I made a deal with Ronnie, and he ran it for a year or 2. And all that's just a fog now. I can't remember all of it, but I remember that at that time I was dealing with Bank and Trust, a guy named David Payton. I don't know if any of y'all ever knew him, but I was just treading water with that thing, you know, and how much did I pay for it? I forgot already. But you remember. How much was it per acre? $600 an acre. That's what it was. So, and it was, how many acres? 70?
57 something.
57 acres.
I bought 70 originally. You
Yeah.
tell me what you pay for it. I was up in New York on vacation in 70 and went to get a haircut. There's 4 barbers and I had to sit and wait. I was sunburned, Texas accent, you know. What do you do for a living? I told him I was an insurance adjuster. Had a drag strip. That got their attention. How did you get enough land for a drag strip? Well, it wasn't all that high. What'd you pay for it? And well, how much you bought? And I said, well, it was 70.02 acres. What'd you pay for it? I said, $42,000. You bought land for $42,000 an acre? No, sir. I bought 70 acres for $42,000. They thought I was lying.
Yeah. I could see that.
Well, I didn't actually want to sell it. I mean, I wasn't making any money, but I wasn't inclined to sell it. But Dave Payton called up one day and he said, "Hey, you need to come see me." And I said, "What do you got?" He said, "Oh, just come on down here. I need to visit with you." So I'll go down there, Bank and Trust, and I walked in his office, sat down, and he had this envelope, and he slid it across the desk like that. He said, "Open up that envelope." I opened it up, and it was made out to me, and it was for double what I paid Kupp for the land. Right. Mr. Herndon Scott.
Yeah.
And he walked out.
Herndon Scott. No, I told Dave, I said, there's going to be a lot of very, very upset drag racers with me. Because that was the end of it right there. And if you look at today, all across the United States, in every single case, the real estate is what kills them drag strip. That's what killed Baytown. Because the number I heard on Baytown was they were offered $42 million for Baytown.
Drag strips
It
can't
kills
hardly
them.
make $1.
Nobody can, you just can't outrun that price of that real estate.
Dollar signs will be.
Yeah, dollar signs drive everything. So I got one story I want to bring back up. So we're operating out there in the first year or first time, and somebody comes to the club and says, Hans is coming to Victoria to race. And we just took them for their word. We don't know who arranged it. But anyway, they said they would meet him at Ramsey's and show him the way out to the drag strip, and we got to pay him $50 to race. And I guess that was before Eddie Hill, but I mean, he drawed a bunch of people that weekend. That old bread truck we used to go around in the neighboring counties, and I guess the guys took a few beers with them, and they would advertise the races for Sunday.
It had speakers on top of it. So
yeah.
It went back to where when you couldn't put any permanent feature into the ground, so that bread truck had big speakers on top of it for the PA system. Yeah.
Curse that and that.
You mentioned Eddie Hill a while ago, being Mr. Gladden's. I was the one to set that up. Mr. Gladden said, I don't want that goddamn crap on my property. So a buddy of mine was running a Cadillac place, so I went to him. And that's where it was displayed. But he did have a crowd all day Saturday.
Yeah.
Mr. Gladden never did say anything to him, but I did a bit as an adjuster. I talked to him quite a bit. He never said any more about, he wished he'd have taken the car, but he didn't.
Now tell the stories about the hotel and all the cars parking at the hotel. And
you mean about you drunkards?
Yeah.
Wait, I think
tell that story.
Well, I just, race would come down, I had in the newsletters, everybody stay at the Continental Inn. The racers would come in overnight. And I had rented, well, they gave me the party room. We'd have a keg of beer. And individuals just driving through the parking lot all night long looking at the race cars. But that was almost every race we did that at that party. That's when I called him a drunkard.
Yeah, I think it
That
was
was
more
a long time ago.
kind of like a drinking club that found a way to.
But them guys, I mean, I remember them guys, they'd be overhauling motors out in the parking lot.
Yeah. Phil would go across the street to Holiday Inn. The manager called me one day, raising hell. I said, I had nothing to do with that. I had him across the street. He said, well, I wish you'd tell him not to stay at my place. Another thing that I kept, they didn't get paid, but you had to do something for them, other than having a dinner that night, a Christmas party. But I was a dealer once, was going to race Sunday, but I was in Houston Saturday trying to buy a car. I was at the Ford dealership, meeting these people there, I was doing a goodwill, and they found out I had a drag strip. We got just a car for you. This is the end of '63. It's a '63 Dodge with that new Hemi. Bought it for half of wholesale price. Took it out the drag strip. The crew was all setting everything up. I pulled up there, parked kind of farther in the back. Somebody saw that car. I guess you got a Hemi in it. Shrugged. I knew they'd want to drive it, so I was playing along with them. And I had somebody walk back there and look, pop the hood. It does have a Hemi. It does have a Hemi. But much of them, I let them drive it through. If it had been a standard, they wouldn't. Nobody got in it. It was an automatic. And some of them were scared to drive it. They would no. But a bunch of them, they drove it through. I said, don't take off fast. Don't go up wide open all the way through. And they did. They come back good from here to here. Well, they were 19, 20 years old. You know, go home and tell everybody, I drove with him.
Amazing times.
But it was nerve-wracking. 10 years after I sold the place, if it thundered, I'd get sick in my stomach. 10 years later, I remember
it's going to be a rain out.
Driving down the road, going to Boulevard and looking at a red car. It started thundering. I said, oh, shit. Oh, I don't have a drag strip. I said, I can relax.
John, how did the Six Flags name get attached to that?
Because this area it goes way back. This part of Texas has been under Six Flags, 6 different flags.
When did you start associating it with the track? Early on?
Yeah, from the first. Yeah, we called it Six Flags Dragway.
Six Flags.
Yeah,
that's when.
yeah.
That's when.
And Victoria motto, the trail of Six Flags. Would you come into Victoria yet today when he signs the trail of Six Flags?
Well, we just adopted it.
In this video, it mentions, somebody at the Advocate told me the 6 surrounding counties were the only ones that actually had all 6 flags. The state had all of them, you know, but the counties actually had them. Whether that was true or not, I don't know, but I put it in the video. And when I bought it incorporated, it's called Six Flags Raceway Park. We put a roundy ranch right there also.
No, we forgot about that. That was another adventure right there.
But we had 4.25-inch drill stem tubing bought up from Carpus for 50 cents a foot. If anybody in the off-field business, they know that was cheap delivered for 50 cents a foot.
We had a bunch of DuPont welders come out on the weekend and weld it up.
That's right.
That was another party.
Yeah. You knew.
And that's what we learned too. But we didn't know nothing about it. When you put 2 light ends of that drill piece, you got to buy nickel rods to weld them together. They weren't cheap. Because otherwise that weld just goes just like that.
Wrap the lead around it.
I guess they could have. They just let us buy nickel rods.
If you ever out around Alpha and you wonder where the starting line was, it's right about where the car auction is.
That was the pits.
But the starting line was like, almost like on the edge of where Kenny's got the car auction. It's like right over there in that one corner. You can still see some of the power poles there.
And there's 2 or 3 vessels pretty high. That's pretty close to starting line.
Yeah. Right. And then of course it ran on down crossing Bob White Street, which was a runway or taxiway. Yeah. And then all the way to down there where Burton Scott built his house.
Yeah.
So, Kupp, were you instrumental in getting them 4 poles for that timing tower?
Well, them
Power poles.
CP&L poles.
Well, I know it.
Yeah.
I said you were probably instrumental in getting that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And shit, that's the highest I ever worked off the ground.
You know, that's showing a ladder to get up into the.
Well, we didn't want nobody climbing up.
Some steps.
Yeah.
I can't believe somebody didn't get hurt on that ladder deal.
Mr. Gillick made a good ladder.
He knows who sat under that building and gave out trophies, though. Your wife. You don't remember her being a trophy girl?
No, I didn't remember.
Yeah, for a couple of seasons, yes, she handed out the trophy. Ask her about it.
I will. I forgot about that.
Julie did for a while.
Yeah, Julie. I remember Julie doing it.
Has anybody got any other questions or anything before we wrap it up?
Well, I bet half of us got stories about going out there.
Well, let's hear them. Okay, I'll tell one. I'll tell you my first one. This is right about when I got that newsletter. So I had bought a 53 Studebaker Firehawk. I mean, the one that's real swoopy looking too.
Exactly.
And I didn't have a driver's license, but I went out and found a guy named Jasper Quayler had a junkyard outside of town, and this car had a 6-cylinder in it. I knew if I was going to go fast, I had to have a V8. So I went out to see Jasper, and I said, "Man, I need some kind of V8 for this car." And he had all these motors laid in the weeds and everything. I said, "Now I ain't got hardly any money at all." He said, "Well, the cheapest thing I got is this old Hemi right here for $25. And it was out of a early Hemi, like 1954, somewhere along in there. So got some of my buddies together, and we cobbled together and built some motor mounts and put that motor in that car and got it running. And then we couldn't figure out how to get it to Victoria to the races because we didn't have a trailer or nothing. And so Correct. And so I had this crazy idea that, of course, I didn't have a license, but I had this theory that if I could find a boy that had a car and a driver's license, and if I could convince this person to to pull my car all the way to Victoria, and I would drive the car, but you didn't have, I told myself you don't have to have a license to be the towed car. That was my theory. So if we got stopped. So sure enough, Mickey Milka was his name, and he was like, he would have been a senior. I think I was a sophomore when that was going on. So we hooked that car to a chain, and we chained that car all the way to Six Flags. And got there, and man, we were so happy we were going to be drag racers. And so it had a manual transmission, you know, original 6-cylinder. But I was going up the start line, I thought I'd do me a little dry hop, you know. That axle went boom. So I never even made it to the start line with that car. So we had to drag it all the way back to Fort Lacker. So my first drag race outing didn't work out too good. But we got there, we got back.
One more story.
What?
Not working on the gig. Frankie Joe was telling me, he says, I don't think we're getting all the money we're supposed to be getting. And Frankie was the oldest one there. Besides my brother-in-law now, Tweety, was there. And I said, well, let's start giving rolls of tickets and buy them from the theater. You do that. And I said, well, okay. So I bought some tickets. And at the meeting before the race, I told everybody there was going to be tickets. You know how many people showed up at the gate to work? Zero.
Yeah.
But I already had my sister and my wife on standby, and I worked the pit side of it, you know, welcome to racers and whatever. And they had to count for the tickets. Didn't show up.
We had it.
Frankie told me that. I went up in the tower that race day. Between the post and the guardrail, I'd count people. He got small one. About just an estimate. About half the money showed up, you know, from that estimate. So that's, you know, we get the tickets.
Well, there's two cars outside that raced in the very, very early days. The 57 panel wagon and the pickup, the Staff Brothers pickup.
Yeah.
That was Frankie's pickup. He raced it. And then the other, the panel wagon was that was the car that Tony Paul raced.
I remember what year it was, 61 to 63, I think it was. Bud decided to have a pasture out here on O'Goliad Road. Somebody had a pickup truck.
That was his property.
No, that was no, I'll tell you, Ray Ferris's.
Ray Ferris.
Yeah, oh gosh.
Had a pickup truck that iced down solid back here.
Yeah.
16, 17, that was we were barbecuing chicken late there. And got a pot out there with the soccer. Go get a beer, the first thing to do is pour beer in the pot. So it was almost all beer. They were soccer. Then we ran out of firewood. The fire was going down. Ray gets in his pickup, the old Ford pickup.
Yeah.
This tractor, it didn't have a lot of trees in it, but it had a lot of old mesquite. We had mesquite in it. So he takes out across this tractor. I mean, there's mesquite going everywhere. He shuts those and pick up, back over, and got fire. Fast forward to when my son was young, I'm telling him this story. He gets to the holler and yeah. One day, we were sitting together with Kevin Place. I said, hey, Kevin, you remember? I told him, oh yeah, that was Frankie that went out there and did something cool. That was one of our parties.
Berger had a party out at his place one time too. I thought that's what you were referring
To end that party that Earl was talking about, you know, everybody got a little inebriated, and so they had that big bonfire. Before that night was over, that trunk truck wouldn't run anymore. It was junk, you know. They blew the motor up in it, radiator collapsed and everything. And then, you know, there's always one brave soul and one dumb soul. So the brave soul, you know, told the dumb soul, if you can walk across that fire bare feet like they do in the movies, you know, you can have another beer, you know. He took out across there and he got about halfway. We had to take him to the hospital. that was the end of the party.
I'll tell you another quick story of mine I posted. We were raising our IQs one night. They never got home. We were talking Outfield Highway. Well, I had a 66 Corvette. 427, 425, he said, I want to drive your car. I want to drive your car. Okay. And we get the car, we start getting out. I was 67. I let go. The mom's and me, 150 miles an hour. That's right. He had got this one kid. Driving one hand, one across the mountain. I said, well, we're in the other city. Well, we finally got slowed down. Go faster than that a little bit. Here we go back the other way. Same deal. I mean, the crowd was going like this.
You can't describe the sound of a Corvette like that with the windows down and sag pipes going 150 miles an hour. You just can't describe it, but it was good.
That's
That's the first time he ever drove a car at 150.
That's right, it was. It was. Yeah.
I've got a story that about 1972.
Come up closer, sir, so we can get it.
One of our esteemed guests that was high enough for dragster out here. Everybody remember the Flying Red Baron?
Yeah.
So 1972, I'm passenger seat and Mike Kendrick's Chevelle, 69 Chevelle. We're going down what we used to call the Boulevard, which is being rented. And we hear this god-awful racket. And I turn and I look, and there's a car doing a wheelie down San Antonio Street.
Yeah.
And I said, Mike, there's a car doing a wheelie down San Antonio. He said, you're full of shit. No, it's not happening. Well, it was Carl.
Yep. Yep.
It was Carl in Flying Red Baron doing a wheel stand down San Antonio Street. And he can tell you the rest of the story. But
Carl, come up here and tell us what that cop said. We want to hear it.
Yeah, that's a good story. That's a good
Well, they weren't done. They didn't know what to think, you know. And they just said, we've got to give you some tickets, okay? And, so really, they just gave me two, one for no inspection and one for no buffers. You know? Anyway, so when I went down to the courthouse or whatever, I knew the girl that was working there, and I said, man, let me tell you what happened. And she thought it was kind of amusing too, and I said, you think there's some way I don't have to pay both of these? And at that time, the county attorney or whatever came walking by, and she hollered at him, and he said, told him what happened. He said, well, make him pay one of whichever's the highest. So it only cost me like $100.
Now, I think Berger was part of that deal, wasn't he? Because he provided the shop to work on it?
Yeah. Carl's working in the machine shop for me then.
Yeah. Well, I took a rider with me. I took the Kennel Turner with me.
So it's not very often that you see a wheel stander going down a Victoria Street.
Yeah.
it was right behind Schaefer's muffler.
Yeah.
I was there that day.
Carl, that story got around real fast.
From our perspective, you got out of the car, and by the time you got out of the car, Randy and I were driving towards you. And I don't remember if it was 2 or 3 cop cars come sliding up there. And Carl's leaning up against the car, you know, with this funny looking grin on his face, kind of at his foot, looking around. And cops get out of the car, and they're like scratching their head, walking around, trying to figure out what this thing is. And I don't from there, we just drove on by.
Well, thank you for the memories, because it stuck with me.
The funny part of the deal was to me when we were going down the boulevard is we heard this noise, you know, and Randy goes, Mike, their car just did a wheelie. I said, oh, you're full of shit, Randy. There ain't no car doing no wheelie in the streets of Victoria. I swear to God, hang a right. So we turned the corner, and just about the time we got up to San Antonio Street and looked down, front end of the car was coming down, he was rolling over to the side.
And I think it had a blown and rejected 427 Chevrolet engine in it. It was a Mustang, but we had a 400 transmission in it, and you'd have to rebuild the transmission every few runs, you know. And that's what I just got through doing at your shop. I just put the transmission together, and I told Ken Turner, I said, hey, jump in here, we'll take it out here on the street, make sure this transmission's working, you know? And it worked, you know. But, you know, running the wheel standard, it was just something to do, you know. And you could go all over the country and run everywhere, and people thought you were crazy for doing it. And, but the dragster's one of the most fun. The dragster, driving the hayfield dragster is just so much more fun, you know. That's a whole lot more a better thrill than touring, you know, the country with a wheel stand. You know?
And we are going to bring it out this year.
Yeah. That's the thing.
So Watson made a little money out of touring with his. Watson made a little money out of touring with his wheel stand, you know.
He did good. He got wealthy doing it. Well, he did.
Oh, I know it. He did. You know.
His dad was an investment advisor. You know. So Watson, he dealt with Chevrolet and those people.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
Anyway, they'd make things available to him, and what he would do is with sponsors like Valvoline and different sponsors like that. He didn't want their money; he wanted their stock.
Oh, okay.
So he got stock instead of cash, and then his dad would invest it in the right place. So he ended up with quite a bit of money.
Yeah.
So he was a good businessman, but he was also a good driver, and you know, his car was really fast. He would outrun that Mustang easily, and he would always whenever we ran each other, he'd let me have a head start, you know, and then he'd pass me up, you know.
Somewhere I've got some snapshots of the Flying Red Bear and the fugitive Corvette racing in Six Flags.
Oh yeah,
I remember those. I was a little pissant kid, went to races with Mike. I had a little cheap ass camera, and I remember taking pictures. I've got them at the house somewhere.
Gary Watson, he said, man, I want you to drive this car. And he said, we'll go out to the drag strip, and he said, I'll teach you how to drive it. So he gets in the car, he gets in the seat, and I'm sitting beside him. He said, okay, this is what you got to do. So he takes off, you know, and I'm looking out everywhere. He's pointing at me, no, look down here, you know, just to show me how to steer it and everything, you know. And you know, you steer it with the brakes.
Right.
Two sets of we had two steering levers on this side, and one you push this side and go that way, push this side and go that way. Sometimes, you know. Anyway, but that's how you steer it, you know. But anyway, we spent 2 days making a few passes out there, 2 days, and then he sends me to Oklahoma City to run against the tank, the guy that ran the tank, you know. And man, I was scared to death, you know. And you know, but I got paid a little bit money.
Yeah.
I made it.
Well, you did that for what, 4, 5, 6 years?
Just a couple of years.
Oh, okay.
And then I built some more. Then I built some more wheels. But we ran all over the country with that car. You know, all the way up in New Hampshire, Winnipeg, Canada, all the way down to Hollywood, Florida. I mean, all over the place. Like I said, it was just something to do. It wasn't fun like driving the dragster. You know, dragster is just so much neater. There's a lot neater to go to 50 miles an hour.
Well, hopefully next year you can bring your car over here and fire it up for us.
Yeah, we can do that.
That would be nice. Anything else? Anybody?
I got a good story.
All right.
You know how you go to the drag, you're watching, you're a gremlin just chilling. So when you leave, you know, you want to smoke tires and sprinkle them. You know, that had that rock that access road going back toward 59.
Yeah.
It's slippery, it's sprinkler. I borrowed my brother's, not done, my little brother's 65 Chevelle. And moreover this, right before that, I had bought a 64 Chevelle SS, no motor, no train, that's no building car. So I borrowed my brother's Chevelle, and I'm leaving. And I'm all over the road going home. So right at 59, hit the brakes, slid in the back of what was his name? Record service, Dad. Couldn't tell, remember?
Yeah, had the junkyard.
Had a junkyard too.
Oh, man.
What's his name? Beaver.
Oh, Beaver.
Oh, Beaver.
Back of Beaver's record.
Oh.
Smashed the whole front of that Chevelle. He come out there, of course he knew me, and wanked me up, you know.
Charlie Beaver.
Yeah, and then there went my SS I just bought. I had to take the front end off that 64, put it on the 65, and then put it back, got rid of it. Because that's, like everybody, when you leave, it's drag racing all the way home. Street lights, street lights.
Another thing,
All right, go ahead.
we had a good rapport with the paper. A lot of people ask me Monday morning after the race, how did you get a picture and an article in the paper on Monday morning and the race wasn't over to 4 o'clock in the evening? Well, Henry Rail is a photographer. He come out and take pictures and then he'd get them developed by 8 o'clock. That was a chore back in the 60s. Developing pictures, it took a while. And then Henry Wolf with the Advocate, he would meet me at the Advocate at 8:30, 9 o'clock at night after I got the pictures and put a story. But he did elaborate the story somewhat. At one race we had 5,000 employees, spectators. I still got a copy of that article.
How many tickets?
And a couple of times, I don't know if that when Berger was here or not, but Highway Patrol come knocking on the door, control tower. And y'all got an airplane out here? Somebody checked out of Amarillo somewhere flying to Victoria and never landed at the airport. Sure enough, sitting up there back of the spectators in the airplane.
Yeah, we had a couple of them.
Yeah,
They
that's several
parked
times.
on the timing tower side.
Well, Clyde Bauer had a helicopter, and he would follow Tommy around to the races.
Illegal as hell to fly on the airport. Big old cross, both ends of it. They'd come in. I don't know how they thought they'd get by with it.
Back then, you buy anything.
Yeah.
They
I mean,
catch you
get
with
by
beer,
with it.
underage driving.
Not reporting into the
I
paper.
drive them way young. They catch us with beer right there on Boulevard. You know, we had a median back there. And they pull us over, be a carload of kids that make us pour all the beer out on the street while your friends are driving by. They be pouring beer out all the time.
Oh.
Don't see you out again tonight. So we go to the house and get some extra coffee.
We had some good-hearted racers out there. Butch Lake come in one Sunday for the race. It's supposed to be a match race between somebody and Hans. Well, Butch told me that Hans couldn't make it. He'd had a medical problem and not doing too good. But the driver's meeting, I told the driver the story about Hans having a problem. I said, look, don't pass a hat and track will match whatever you donate. Well, I didn't make any money that day. The racers really contributed. Remember that, Butch?
Vaguely, I do. Yeah. Pretty unique situation.
Well, I went to work out there in 67, and all y'all thought about the flood stuff and all that other before. But the idea that it was just a haphazard, going racetrack, I know from 1967 on, doesn't really tell the whole story because we took pride, all of us went to national events, saw how they ran their races. And I can tell you from 67 on, we took pride in the fact that we could do a one-day race on schedule, start the racing at 2 o'clock, eliminations, and be through by 5 or 5:30. And very few tracks around here that do that. Whenever I go to an event, and other racers would recognize me, or I would mention the fact I worked at know from then, it was fun, and like Kupp said, 20 so people did this for free, and it's one of the best run drag strips probably in the whole southern United States. I know that.
That's probably one reason, because people doing it because they enjoyed it, was going to get paid for it.
And it was all country.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We had some big race out there, and you know, we expected about 2,500 people, and we only had one sheriff's officer out there. So Mr. Gillick was a deputy sheriff, and I said, can you find me a couple of deputy sheriffs on horse to work the drag strip for us that day, that are shoot and walk on that concrete? So we had 2 deputies in the sheriff's department out there on horses for crowd control if we needed it, you know. And you know, they could look above the crowd and see what was going on. Yeah.
There was some big time racers showed up, Garlics, Bull Bounty, on several of those races, I remember.
And you always knew when the races were, because you could go to Firestone, and Garlics always added backstrap, one of the Firestone.
Absolutely.
The day before.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Firestone sponsor tires for Garlics.
Let's see, trying to add up the years. Let's see. Yeah, my oldest daughter, Alicia, was born in '68. And I can always remember that day because I was racing that day at Six Flags Dragway. And of course, the family can tell you this story, and Judy can tell it, and it shows me in a bad light. Okay? But because father-in-law came out to track, and you know, back then didn't have no cell phones or nothing. He came out to track and he said, Judy's on her way to the hospital. Time to have a baby. She's going into labor. I said, okay. Well, I had won first round. And so I'm not about to leave. Ain't no way. So I told her, I said, second round's coming up. Right after that, I'll be there. So I went up there. Sure enough, I won second round. Oh, man. So it was about probably 45 minutes later, an hour later, he comes back. He goes, Judy's in the hospital. She's in the labor area. She's fixing to have the baby, and you need to get to the hospital. And I said, I'm coming. I just won second round, man. Third round's coming up. And so, sure enough, I won third round. Oh, man. I mean, at that time it was probably the semifinals, I guess. And then, anyway, father-in-law came out there third time. He goes, you need to get to the hospital right now because she's fixing to have that baby any minute. And I told him, I said, I'm in the final. I'm in the final. I'm going to be there. So sure enough, I won the race, got the trophy, hauled ass to the hospital, citizens. Ran up there, she's in the delivery room, and she had the baby about like 10 minutes later. Well, I was, everybody was pretty pissed at me. Mother-in-law, father-in-law, everybody pissed, But I had the trophy. So right as she's recovered and everything, I showed up and acted like I'd been there all along, And then I showed her, I said, look, I got the trophy. So, hey, everything worked out. Won the race, got there before the baby got delivered.
So no money, just a damn trophy.
Yeah.
Oh, there was probably $50 or something,
Wasn't much.
But anyway, that was a good day. That was a good day. Win the race and have the first child on the same day.
I bet you remember that day, huh?
Everybody in the family knows this story. It's been told many times. They always talk about that. Well, anyway, this has been great. Everybody we're just going to wrap it up now. Everybody continue to visit, and nobody has to run off. I've got the posters right here. If you didn't get one, I have these right here that everybody's supposed to get one. This is today. This is all today's event. So something you can hang on the wall at home. And thanks again to Steve and Sharon to bring the car from Corpus and start it up. That was really cool. That was nice. So
Thank you for putting this on.
Jerry Perry.
yeah, that's the same car.
Not much, bud. Yes, sir, for no sharecropper.
They're not making any more of these now.
And that's the original.
350 one time. 350 two times. Sold. 350 to Mike. Woo! All right, I got one more here. It's brand new. $100. Somebody want to give 200?
That's a 1960s large. That wouldn't work for long.
I got 200. Anybody want to go 300?
That's a petite now.
That's the shirt and the jacket.
What's the bid at?
Look at there.
What's the bid at?
Brand new shirt, brand new jacket.
What's the bid at?
Bid right now is at 200, I think. I need something more.
250.
Anybody want to give 250?
250.
250 right there. 250 right here. Anybody want to give 300? Steve says 300. Anybody want to go 300? Okay.
John, I'll do 300.
300? No, he's 300. You can go 350. All right, 350. Steven's 350. Anybody else? Going once? Going twice? Sold.
Where's the photographer take a picture of that in the bar?
All right, here.
And go through.
Take a picture of that.
Hey, also, I want all the old guys to sign.
Hey, Johnny.
Oh, yeah.
I want signatures.
Get over here, Don.
Kupp, all of them.
Yeah, that's great.
John, get in there.
I don't have nothing to do with that.
Coop, get in there. Coop, get in there.
No, I don't want to be.
Yeah.
Cool jacket.